Hi, I'm Fred Schultz, and I'm running for president. Before we go any further, yes, I know I can win. I know that a majority of Americans, meaning you, agree with me that the government has no right to arrest us if we haven't hurt or robbed somebody. And it's not just that I believe those things. I am the only candidate who knows that it's unconstitutional to arrest us if we haven't hurt or robbed somebody. Meaning, I am the only candidate who will end mass incarceration and our drug war day one, because I'm the only candidate who believes that drug prohibition is unconstitutional, along with all other victimless and consensual crimes, such as gambling and sex work. Day one. I won't have to go through the legislature, because you don't have to go through the legislature. If you believe something is unconstitutional and you are sworn to uphold the Constitution, as I will be, I will uphold the Constitution. I will free up to, or hopefully more, up to 2 million of the 2.2 to 4 million people in jail right now. Can't even get an accurate count anymore. But I'll free hopefully most of the people in jail. Most of them are in for victimless or consensual crimes, or they just have sentences that are too long. But I got very angry. I went to this protest the other day. I helped to organize a protest through Move On. We got about 100, 150 people. I'm very angry about this. Let me put it to you this way. Yes, 2 people died the other day, and these are Trump's fault. Valeria and Oscar Ramirez. These are Trump's fault, because if he had opened the border to asylum seekers, which is our legal responsibility under treaty law and under moral law and under American law, they would have been in this country. Yes, that's true. However, and wait, let's get to the next point. And there are 50, 60,000 people in his camps. We have to empty the camps, close the camps. That's right, close the camps! I'm telling you. However, do you know how many people have died in our country due to these drug laws? 50 a day, about 17,000 people a year, more than that, are shot or killed other ways in our country, mostly due to the drug laws, either because they have to deal with somebody, not legal, a criminal to get the drugs, or because it's a drug deal gone bad. Now, we also have at least 2.5 million people killed south of our border, mostly in Central and South America and Mexico, in the last 20 years alone. If we add up the last 40 years when they started this drug war, 45 years, it's about 4 million probably. 4 million. So when Trump says that he's going to deport millions of people, he's deporting many of them, thousands, to their deaths. To their deaths. Now, besides, yes, there are 50,000, 60,000 people wrongfully in these camps, but we have 2 million people wrongfully in our jails, most of whom have never hurt anybody, or if they have hurt somebody, it was 20, 30 years ago and they got a much longer sentence than they deserve, probably 8, if you beat somebody up, you get 10, 15 years instead of a year sometimes. If you've done, in some states, if you were caught with an ounce of marijuana or an ounce of cocaine 10, 20 years ago, you're still in jail. Biden says that he was sorry. He's sorry about it. Bullshit. A year ago, he was bragging about his record with the crime bill. He said in a New York Times recent article that his fingerprints are on every crime bill, every crime law since 1970. Yeah, well, when do you think prison arrests and prison slavery and prison torture disproportionately of black and brown people, when do you think that started? 1970. When do you think wages stopped going up? 1970. Why? Because when you're arrested and then you're freed, you can't get a job. You can't get an apartment. You know how many people have a criminal record in our country now? For almost doing nothing, most of them? 70, 80 million. You know what the workforce total is? 160 million. In other words, about half of our workforce potential workforce can't get a job. Ever. What? They can't get an apartment. They're in an underground secretive economy in addition to the 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants, which, by the way, is just is just 25% of the immigrant population. Just 25% are undocumented. But anyway, let's get back down to business. Trump, of course, is also responsible for me not being able to go and pray because he's psyched up the Nazis so much and the KKK people. And also, who do you think is behind all of this? Putin. That's right, Putin. This is him kissing ass to Putin. Anyway, let's get back to the business. This is the chart of incarceration in the U.S. Look when it started going up, just when Joe Biden started getting behind all these laws. Right here, jail, prison, you get it. There's 2.4 million people in our jails and prisons, but we arrest about 15 million people a year. 15 million! Most of them can never get another job again. And you know how many are on prison or probation or jail? 7 million are under some kind of, quote, incarcereal control. That's horrible. This is slavery. And in jail, yes, they have to work. And if they had to pay them minimum wage, all these jails would shut down. So it is part of what keeps them going is keeping them as slaves, paying them between 0 and 15 cents an hour. It's a crime. That's the crime. That's called torture. That's called slavery. I will free them day one, because I'm the only candidate who knows that these laws are unconstitutional, and I will obey the Constitution. Unlike them, Kamala Harris and all these people, Cory Booker, who did his broken windows. Kamala Harris probably put thousands of people behind bars who haven't hurt anyone, earning millions of dollars in the process. Disgusting. And she wouldn't even file a lawsuit like I begged her to for one person, one vote, so that they would count our votes equally and we wouldn't have Trump. That's right. If she had sued, it would have gone directly, immediately to the Supreme Court because she was Attorney General. My God. Okay, now let's look at some other things. Here, you saw that chart here. Incarceration rates in the world. The top three are U.S., Russia, Ukraine, and Poland. That's the U.S. right there. Russia, Ukraine, Poland. All the rest of the civilized world has a tiny percentage of our people in jail. We have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's people in jail. That's a crime. That's a human rights violation. We are the biggest human rights violators in the world. When you have 2.4 million people behind bars, most of whom have never hurt anybody, yeah, we're the biggest human rights violators in the world. And yes, I will free them. You betcha. As that bitch used to say. The pig with lipstick. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I forgot her name, luckily. Okay. Now, this is the population of white, black, and Hispanic people. White, Hispanic, and black in the population. Here. 64% of the population is white, but just 30% of the prison population is white. 16% of the population is Hispanic. 23% of the prison population is Hispanic. 12% of the U.S. population is black. 33% of the prison population is black. And no, black people don't use or sell drugs any more than white people. Maybe they sell them a little more because they're poorer, but the percentage in jail for selling is a tiny percentage. It's about 15%. Okay, now let me read these. And yes, the number one determinant of whether you're behind bars is whether you're poor or not. If you're born in the richest area code versus the poorest, your chances of being in jail are 10 to 1. At least 10 to 1 less. Maybe in the richest to poorest, it's 100 to 1. But in general, the richest to poorest, it's 10 to 1. Yes, poverty determines whether you get elected, usually because you'll do something that you wouldn't rather do just to eat. Yes, I intend to have a basic income for all those people who are poor, so nobody has to worry about stealing to eat or selling drugs to eat. Now, before we go on to this, let's just discuss this for a minute. Yes, we might have to have some free drugs. I would rather have free drugs than crime. We have, 17,000 murders on our streets, 2.5 million murders in the last 20 years south of our border. So wait, let's add it up. 32, that's about 700, it's about 800,000 murders in our country the last 20 years. Yes, these are mostly due to these drug laws, and we can get rid of them, and I will. Okay, I will read. I have many, many, many more charts and stuff here, but you don't have the time or the attention right now, I bet. Let me just read you this. The researchers found that the percentage of black men with a felony conviction increased from 13% in 1980 to 33% in 2010, compared to 5% to 13% for all adult men during these periods, respectively. They also estimate that the percentage of black men who had experienced imprisonment increased from 6% in 1980 to 15% in 2010, compared with 2% to 6% for all adult men during these periods. Yes, these laws are racist. These laws are anti-human rights. And they are locking up millions of non-black and brown people, too. Remember, about half those locked up are white. Either way, this is slavery, it's torture, and we're going to put an end to it day one. We're going to end all drug prohibition, including cannabis prohibition, day one. And the farmers in Iowa and throughout the world can get back to work because, well, throughout the nation, because we will be ending drug prohibition here and hopefully worldwide very soon. When I'm president, day one, because we will not go through the legislature, because I will be sworn to uphold the Constitution, and I will do so, and will also end the Electoral College day one, and will also give the vote to the people of Puerto Rico, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, and U.S. Samoa day one, because everyone has a right to vote. That's how it is. Get ready to win. Love you all. Please donate just $1. That's all I ask. I can win this with $65,000 in the tank, and then by the next debate with $130,000, yeah, we can win this campaign. I have a truck and will travel, and I'll sleep in the back, and I have a porta potty. We're going to win this. Love you all. Please vote for Fred. Fred 2020. Love you. Free the people. Free the slaves. Woo!